Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel. Thanks for watching. We have a busy docket today. You're not going to believe this. An amended complaint and information has been filed in the Barry Morphew matter. I'll tell you what's changed. Second, Kyle Rittenhouse appears in court, and he has new attorneys, and they set some new dates. Third, prosecutors want additional charges for the remaining 3 officers in the George Floyd matter. Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli need a break. It's been a little stressful. And cops think that they finally got the right killer in a cold case, and then our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Crime Talk, and my name is Scott Reisch. Thanks for watching. Hey, we have a new sponsor today, so let's go ahead and roll this. What is Green Chef? Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company that makes eating well easy and affordable with plans to fit every kind of lifestyle. Ingredients come pre-measured, perfectly portioned, and mostly prepped. Green Chef has made it easy for the lovely Miss Kristen and I to cook high-quality meals on busy weeknights so we have some more time to spend with Winnie. I try to limit the amount of gluten in my diet, which makes Green Chef a great option for me because of the dishes for a variety of lifestyles include vegan, vegetarian, paleo, and keto. Green Chef is also the most sustainable meal kit, offsetting 100% of its direct carbon emissions and plastic packaging in every box. Go to greenchef.us/90crimetalk and use promo code 90crimetalk to get $90 off, including free shipping on your first box. That's right. Go to greenchef.us/90crimetalk and use code 90crimetalk for $90 off and free shipping on your first box. Normally, the only thing that we make at our house was reservations. But now, with Green Chef, we're eating at home because it is fast, it's convenient, and it is healthy. Please go to greenchef.us/90crimetalk and receive $90 off of your order. This is good stuff. We tried it the other night. It was fabulous. All right, let's get to the docket. Now, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, the like button, and then that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. All right, first on the docket, an amended complaint has been filed in the Barry Morphew matter. Now, just the other day, a complaint and information was filed, and it contained 5 charges. There's murder in the first degree, tampering with a deceased human body, tampering with physical evidence, possession of a dangerous weapon, and attempt to influence a public servant. So I'm looking at the charges and I'm looking at the amended complaint. I'm like, all the charges are the same. And then what do? We notice at the top, right below amended complaint and information, it says domestic violence. All right. What does that really mean anyway here in the state of Colorado? Domestic violence is not a charge in and of itself. However, if anyone has been involved in an intimate relationship and they do something that involves some sort of power, control, manipulation, and they've been involved in an intimate relationship, and it can go back years and years, if not decades, then it's a sentencing enhancer. The court would find that it is a domestic violence type of situation. And what does that mean? Somebody would have to take domestic violence classes. Well, once again, clearly the least of the concerns for Barry Morphew in this particular case. But let me give you an example. What most people think of as a domestic violence situation is a couple is arguing. They've been involved in an intimate relationship. They don't necessarily have to be married, but if they're in an intimate relationship, somebody gets arrested, the judge finds that it's a domestic violence situation, the person who pleads guilty or is found guilty has to take domestic violence counseling classes. That's it. It also can then be a finding that one cannot possess a firearm, particularly a handgun, in the future as well. Once again, all problems that are not really that big of a concern for Barry Morphew, as he's facing first-degree murder, which carries life without parole. Another quick example. Let's say you'd been involved in an intimate relationship with somebody. You see their car and you just don't like them, and you scratch it with your key, right? Not what you think of as a classic domestic violence situation. Well, that's criminal mischief. But the victim and the perpetrator had been involved in an intimate relationship. Guess what? If the person that keyed the car is found guilty, they would have the domestic violence sentencing enhancer put on them. So hopefully that makes some sense, explains it here a little bit. The DA probably just simply forgot to put domestic violence, although it's somewhat obvious. They had to do an amended complaint. They did it the day after they filed the complaint and information, so they just didn't catch it. Not a big deal. We've all made that mistake before, and the case will continue. As you may recall, the matter is set for May 27th for official filing of charges. We will find out on the 27th as well who his new attorneys will be. Will it be the public defender, or will Drew Nielsen and Iris Itan of the firm of Itan and Nielsen enter their formal appearance and appear in court with him? We're going to try to bring it to you live, of course, complying with all of the rules that I have to comply with as an attorney here in the state of Colorado. All right. Next on the docket, Kyle Rittenhouse appears in court. He's got some new attorneys, and he has some new dates. Now, he had a pretrial hearing this morning, and everybody learned at that time that Kyle Rittenhouse has retained new attorneys in the case. The new attorneys are Mark Richards and Corey Sirapani. Now, they filed a notice of entry of appearance for Mr. Rittenhouse, but it's still a little unclear whether the other attorneys were fired or whether they're actually remaining on the case. They're just coming in as co-counsel. I somehow think new attorneys are coming in to take over. Now, this was the first actual time that Mr. Rittenhouse has appeared in person because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Apparently, arrangements were made so that he was brought in basically through a back door and no one could get a good look at him. For those who don't recall the name of Kyle Rittenhouse, he's charged with the killing of 2 men and wounding another during protests following the police shooting of Jacob Blake back in August of last year. The next court hearing is set for September 17th. Jury selection for the trial is scheduled to begin November 1st, and that is expected to last 2 weeks. He obviously faces life in prison if he is found guilty, and he remains free on a $2 million bail. The hearing wasn't that interesting. Really, a whole lot of dates were set. The prosecution wants some deadline cutoff dates for witness lists as well as expert disclosures. The defense attorneys basically say, hey, until we have all the lists that need to be provided by the prosecution, we can't even go out and look for some of our experts until we know what they can do, and that can take additional time. But the court put his foot down and basically said, we're going to start trial November 1st, so everybody needs to have their ducks in a row and have those expert disclosures by July 1st. Mr. Rittenhouse's new attorneys. At least they're moving this thing along finally. Next on the docket, the prosecutors charging and prosecuting the 3 remaining officers in the George Floyd matter asked an appellate court in Minnesota to allow them to file additional charges against the 3 former Minneapolis police officers accused of aiding and abetting Derek Chauvin in the killing of George Floyd back in 2020. The prosecutors asked the Court of Appeals to reverse a lower court ruling preventing a charge of third-degree aiding and abetting murder from being filed against Thomas Lane, Alex Koenig, and Tao Thao. The former officers are already charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. They've all pled not guilty, and they are awaiting their trial, and which is now scheduled to begin in March of 2022. As you may recall, a couple of weeks ago, Judge Cahill kicked the case down the road, get this, because of concerns regarding pretrial publicity being too close to the sentencing date of Derek Chauvin. Huh. Isn't that ironic? I think that's what Mr. Nelson was saying the whole time, that it could affect a fair trial. And now the judge says, hey, it could affect a fair trial. The court also cited in its ruling that said, hey, they all have federal charges now for violating Mr. Floyd's civil rights. And frankly, that case is probably a little more concerning to them because the punishment is so much more severe. And maybe that will help resolve all of these cases as well. We'll wait and see what the Court of Appeals rules and what charges will be filed, and we'll bring you the trial in March of 2022 when it actually happens. Well, you know a couple of people who really deserve a break? That's right, Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli. They've asked a federal court, because they're on federal supervised release, that's a fancy word for parole, and they want to go on a vacation because they've had a really tough couple of years. And the court granted them permission to travel to San Jose del Cabo to spend time with their family on the dates between June 16th and June 21. Gosh, this seems like a trip that maybe Crime Talk should make to see if maybe they want to give an interview. Somehow, I doubt it. One of the reasons that the court granted the couple to travel is that they basically have been doing everything that they're supposed to do, including pay all of their fines, which was $150,000. And old Lori has done her community service requirements as well. Massimo has remained in compliance with the terms and conditions of his supervised release. Additionally, old Massimo wrote a check for $250,000 to pay his fine and is still working on completing all of his public service. Now, this is not an unreasonable request. I don't think anybody should be particularly offended by this. Whether people are on pretrial supervision or are on supervised release, they are permitted to travel. Frankly, I've always argued to the judge, hey, judge, if they were a flight risk and were not coming back, they wouldn't be seeking permission. They would just go. So the chances are they're going to come back. It's not like they're going to spend the rest of their days in Cabo. They need to work, right? Anyway, they need a break. So I hope they get the deserved break that they need, and maybe they can kind of work things out amongst themselves to see where they're going. Next on the docket, the police think they got the right killer this time. After almost 4 decades, a 75-year-old Texas man has been arrested for sexually assaulting a woman before strangling her and setting her body on fire. This was a grisly crime that a notorious self-proclaimed serial killer once insisted he was responsible for doing. On Friday, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said that Thomas Elvin Darnell had been charged with capital murder in connection with Lori Marie Purchase. Her murder took place back in March of 1983. Darnell was arrested on May 11th in his Kansas home and extradited to Texas on Thursday. He's being held on a no bond hold. Authorities say Purchase had been missing for months before Darnell sexually assaulted her, then fatally strangled her, and then set her ablaze in a wooded area near a highway. Purchase's nude body, which was left posed at the scene, was found on March 17, 1983, by a patrolling deputy who responded to reports of a roadside fire where 18-wheelers were known to congregate. She was positively identified in May of 1986. Prior to her murder, Purchase was allegedly living in Houston with a man who went by the nickname of Howie and played in the local band Malibu. Now, Darnell's arrest marks the second time authorities thought they had solved Purchase's case. Henry Lee Lucas, also known as the Highway Stalker, originally confessed to this murder before she was even identified. He was convicted of her murder in 1986, and Lucas once confessed to committing as many as 600 murders between 1960 and 1983, and was convicted of murdering 11 people and sentenced to death. He ultimately died in prison in 1998 of natural causes. Eventually, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Cold Case Squad deemed one of those false confessions to be Purchase's murder. Investigators sent the DNA evidence for genealogy testing. That lead generated from the genealogy report showed Thomas Elvin Darnell, as we noted, 75-year-old male from Kansas City, as a potential suspect. A DNA search warrant for Thomas Darnell was obtained as a result of the investigation, and now he has been charged as a result of the DNA match. Now, Mr. Darnell doesn't look well. Clearly, the remaining days he has with us will be spent in prison. Obviously, we'll give Mr. Darnell the presumption of innocence, although that booking photo is not exactly the most flattering we've ever seen. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day and a recap of our only other contestant, which was yesterday's. In fact, let's do that first. The contestant from yesterday was Jennifer Weber, who was found pleasuring herself at a car dealership in cars. In fact, it was a customer's car, but we don't need to get into details. Go check out yesterday's video if you need those details. Well, we have two dumb criminal contestants today just because we can't have a field of two. We need three. And as always, there's never a shortage of dumb criminal contestants. Well, meet Katie Shellhorse. She's 22. And, well, she apparently needed some money to party and get some marijuana. What's the thing to do, right? Obviously, wait for your stimulus check from the government? No, could take too long. Second option, maybe go get a job. Why do that? No. What would one do like Miss Shellhorse did? That's right. Tell everyone that you have cancer and collect $15,000 in donations for people that are feeling sorry for you. Then go out and buy your booze and drugs. That's right, Miss Shellhorse. You are contestant number one today for the dumb criminal contestant of the day. And just like the upcoming contestant, you could be the winner and crowned the Crime Talk Criminal of the Week. Then we have Mr. Jesse James Moore. Great name, Jesse James Moore, 38. And he's suspected in two theft cases from earlier in the day. And let's just give a quick little background because you just can't make this up, okay? Idaho Falls Police Department was looking for Jesse James Moore, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. He's 38, and he's a suspect in two theft cases from earlier in the day. The search was rather unique, one allegedly involving children's bicycles and stolen deli ham, and the suspect locking himself in a woman's bathroom in an attempt to escape in the ceiling of a Subway restaurant. Okay, the stage has been set. The search began earlier in the day when a woman called officers around 6 p.m. saying someone stole her son's BMX bike at the skate park. A man allegedly wearing a Tyrannosaurus Rex t-shirt came up to her son and asked to buy the bike for $480. The boy declined, and when he turned around for a second, the unknown man got on his bike and rode away. Then about 9 p.m., the Idaho Falls Police Department went to Winco Foods after a man reported someone had stolen his Harley-Davidson motorcycle after he went inside to buy groceries. In place of the motorcycle, the man discovered the BMX bike that the police had been called about earlier in the evening. Kind of trading up, I guess. As police investigated, the woman whose son's bike was stolen called officers saying someone named Jesse James could have stolen the motorcycle. Police then considered Moore the suspect in both thefts. The motorcycle owner found the stolen Harley-Davidson parked in front of Planet Fitness across from the Winco. The owner said the fuel cutoff switch was on and the bike would not have run very long if the suspect didn't realize this. Officers then spotted Moore walking towards a Subway sandwich shop in the same parking lot as the gym where the bike was found. Moore went into the sandwich shop, locked himself in the women's restroom. Police heard rustling inside and Moore refused to come out. Additional sounds came from the restroom, indicating Moore might have been trying to get into the ceiling. Once the restroom door was kicked open, officers rushed inside and found pieces of ceiling around Moore, who was laying on the ground. He had tried to get into the ceiling and fell down. He was actually in a stall. He refused to come out of the stall. Police pulled him out by his feet, and he was wearing the same dinosaur Tyrannosaurus Rex t-shirt, as reported earlier. To add to this crime spree, the Subway employees reported that the man had been in the store earlier in the day several times and had actually come behind the counter, filled out an application for a job attempting to help them with service. What they didn't know was that he had stolen a stack of deli meat. So Mr. Moore is charged with felony grand theft for the motorcycle, misdemeanor petty theft for the bicycle. He's charged with misdemeanor malicious injury to property for the damage done at the restaurant, and 1 count of petty theft for the slices of deli meat. I can tell you, Idaho Falls doesn't mess around, but old Jesse James Moore, you are our dumb criminal contestant of the day. And look at that booking photo. He almost looks proud of himself, doesn't he? He does. I wonder what controlled substance he may have been on that day. I'm going to say meth. Just a wild guess. All right. Choose the winner from these 3 contestants. Let us know. We'll announce it next week. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on Crime Talk.